This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here at Circus Sports in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Wes Reynolds is going to join us this hour to break down the Texas Open, get some of his thoughts there. We're going to get to the Daily Diamond in our baseball talk, and of course, we'll give out our best bets. But it is always a pleasure to welcome back to the program JD. Jonathan Davis joins us now here on the Progressive Guest Line. Does a great job on the network breaking down puck each and every night. Give him a follow on X as I do at West Coast Hockey. That's HKY to round out that handle. Jonathan, these are heady days, obviously, in the NHL as we get down to the end of the regular season, because we just don't see this with a great chase from the Great Eight trying to run down the greatest one of all in Wayne Gretzky. He gets that big goal last night, 4 away from the breaking the record now to get to 895. I go back to covering him as a rookie, and we never saw it then. We knew he was a great goal scorer. But is he going to break it this year? I know you wrote about it here at VSiN.com, and the odds are minus 265 that he will. Did you think all along this would be the year he'd break the record?
Well, I mean, heading into the year, I thought it was realistic. Look, I played his over goal prop. I think it was at 29.5 because he's had 18 seasons of 30 goals or more. I didn't necessarily think he would get to it this year. And then when he got hurt, mid-season, I was like, yeah, no, we're going to have another year of this. So I am surprised. It's been quite a run. Look, last night was only the second time since the return from the Four Nations tournament that he's had goals in back-to-back games. So it's getting tight, but here we are. We're 4 goals away, and I feel better about it today than I did yesterday.
JD, now we obviously have markets to see when he will get that 895th goal. My Columbus Blue Jackets seem to be the odds-on favorite here in Ohio. I wanted to throw at you in the beginning of the year. I usually like to have a little pizza bet on a couple of different sports, and I got to tell you, when I put in the Washington Capitals at 35-1 to raise the cup, I didn't even think in my wildest dreams that this thing would be alive. I was just hoping for a hedge opportunity. Now you got a 105-point Capital team in the East. Am I live here, or are we going to find a trip-up spot knowing what the opportunities might be for them and the stiff competition they're going to face come Stanley Cup postseason?
Well, I think you're definitely live. And I think that, they have an easier path out of their division than, let's say, any of the teams in the Atlantic, which is Toronto, Florida, and Tampa. So from that standpoint, yes, the concern that I have right now for Washington is that, look, their focus has been getting Ovechkin the record for, especially the last month. And when you take a look, they're just not playing playoff type hockey. They're giving up at least 3 goals in a game way too many times, especially since the return from the Four Nations tournament. So that's the concern that I have for them right now, is that they're going to have to flip a switch again. I think that they're a good team, obviously, with the numbers they put up. I still don't know if they're built for the playoffs. I'm not sold on Logan Thompson, who's had a really good year, but I'm not sold on him as being a cup goalie. And I don't know if I'm not sold that they're strong enough down the middle, but still at your price, you're very live.
All right, so you've got 8 games left in the regular season for the Caps, for Ovi to get 4 or more, obviously, to break the record of 895. We showed you that odds board if you're watching either on the Watch app, VSiN.com. The Hurricanes at plus 245. JD, you kind of get a double out there, right? Because you've got a couple games there. Now, Columbus, as Jensen mentioned, they're back-to-back starting Saturday on the 12th and then the 13th with that home and home there at plus $1.50. Can he get it done? I know that Carolina's the next one. We don't think he's going to get 4 in one, but then you would get them after Chicago and the Isles, and then you play Carolina again. How would you handicap when he might beat the Great Ones record?
Well, look, I think it'd be a great story if he does it against Columbus, because that's the team he scored his first ever goal again. So that's a great story. But here's the way I would approach it. If you like Columbus for the team that he breaks his record against, then I would just split a bet between their two goalies, because you can bet that he scores it against their goalie, Daniel Tarasov, at 8-1, or you can take Elvis Brzlikins at 9-1. Now, it's interesting. Brzlikins has been the backup goalie for both games this year against Ovechkin and the Capitals. But I wouldn't take a team. I would target the goalie market for whatever team you think he's going to break it against. You're going to get a far better price.
JD, tonight's action in the slate. I know you've got a couple of games targeted. First one is a total. Kraken have been eliminated. Canucks pretty much on life support, trying to get into the postseason picture here. I actually saw the puck line kind of jumped out to me, and it really felt good when you were looking at the total. I know it's a lower total here, but what do you make of this matchup, and how's your handicap there on the total?
Well, look, you've got a series. They've played 14 times against each other in Seattle's short franchise history. Guys, all 14 games have had 6 goals or more. 12 have had 7 goals or more. I'm not overthinking this one. We're going to just play the over in this one here. 5.5 is a gift. I don't want to say this too loud here, but, Vancouver, I think the books have given too much credit to the fact that the Canucks are missing Elias Pettersson, who's had a very disappointing year, and another forward in Niels Höglander. Those guys weren't contributing anyways. We continue to get 5.5s with the Canucks. Their games have been going over. For me, this is the best bet of the night for me is Vancouver, Seattle over 5.5.
With a regulation win tonight, Toronto could actually tie Florida atop the division here in the Atlantic in the Eastern Conference. JD, how important is that anymore to win your respective divisions? Does it still matter to these guys? And again, 94 points for the Maple Leaf coming in, and the Panthers sitting right there nipping at their heels at 92.
It's very important. Having to play potentially both Tampa and Florida in round one, or in round one and round two, you do want to avoid it. You want to get the wild card team ideally. Look, we've had the last 5 seasons, it's either been Florida or Tampa that's represented the East in the Stanley Cup Finals. So yeah, you do want to win the division. For Florida, this is a game where they have to win in regulation. They can't give, because they're trailing. If they want to win the division, look, they've got this game against Toronto tonight. They play them again in 6 days, but they trail in the most important column, that regulation win column. That's the first tiebreaker. So for Florida, yeah, this is a game that they need to win in regulation.
JD, the Central and the West might be the most top heavy and maybe the best in hockey this year. And of course, you got a couple of teams already in Winnipeg and Dallas that have clinched their playoff berths. Let's focus on the Avalanche here in a game that you're targeting as well against the Blackhawks. Again, Mr. Puckline in me jumps out, and I know that the Avs, they should be able to handle business. It's a bad Blackhawks team. What's your handicap for this matchup tonight?
They should. And here's the interesting thing. Look, the Blackhawks have beaten them 2 of the 3 meetings this year. But the last 5 times that Colorado has beaten Chicago, it's been 3-0, 4-0, and I think it's 3-5-0. Yeah, 3-5-0 game. Crazy stuff. I don't think we're going to get a shutout tonight. I'm targeting this in a couple ways. I like the first period over in this one, and I like both teams to score in the first period. I've been tracking favorites -300 and greater and -400 and greater this year. The Avs have been in this situation 4 times as a -300 favorite. 3 of the 4 times we've had the first period over. 3 of the 4 times we've had both teams to score. Both these teams right now are on a nice run of a first period over. Chicago is 6 of 9. Colorado 6 of 8 first period overs. So for now, that's the way I'm targeting it. One player prop I would look at is Ryan Donato of Chicago. He's on a nice run, leads the Blackhawks in scoring. Get him at +210 for an anytime goal. He's got 3 goals in 5 games against projected starter Mackenzie Blackwood. So if it is Blackwood tonight, I will be on a Donato anytime goal.
JD, you got a couple minutes to go here. I just wanted to delve quickly into some of these awards markets and get your thoughts on that. I'm looking at the Hart Trophy. Is it just a 2-headed monster here in Draisaitl and Hellebuyck? Because right now, Connor is plus $1.40. You want to back the favorite in Leon, you got to lay $1.30. McKinnon is then the longest, that third betting choice at 12-1 before Kucherov at 20-1 and Eichel at 200-1. Is it really down to Draisaitl and Hellebuyck?
I think so. It's been, Leon, I think in many ways, did his best to try to cement things on Saturday night against the Calgary Flames. Here it is, the Battle of Alberta, big rivalry in Canada. There's no Connor McDavid in the lineup, and Draisaitl scores a late goal to tie the game and then scores the game winner. I mean, with McDavid out, especially the Oilers needing, to get to second place. They're trying to get home ice advantage and not play LA, who's been the best home team in the league. It is a two-headed monster. I got Leon back in June at 20-1, so I'm pretty good. I'm feeling really good right now.
Yeah. Not a bad position to be sitting in, JD, and also not a bad place to be. What are you, 200 steps from the beach?
Yeah, 200 steps from the beach. Yes.
I think we need a remote. I think if we were in a remote by the books.
We're going to do it from JD's place. We're going to do that. Jonathan, we appreciate your time as always, my friend. Best of luck tonight in the ice. We'll catch up again soon.
Always a pleasure, guys. Take care.
There he is, Jonathan Davis. And again, VSiN Pro subscribers, you already know JD. You've been following his plays. You've been cashing a lot of tickets there. And again, you can check out the Watch app wherever you are. You can download it now in the App Store. Get it on Google Play. It's there for you. You can watch. And if you missed the show live, like our show here at VSiN By The Books, you can always check it out on your time. So it's show replays. Of course, you can watch it wherever you are across the country. So download the VSiN Watch app and do so today. Jensen, when we come back, it is time for the Daily Diamond. Cannot wait to figure out what we should play today in Major League Baseball. And, of course, Wes Reynolds is going to join us later on this hour to talk all things golf. Come on back. It's VSiN By The Books.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis enjoyed the hockey conversation with JD. Jonathan Davis in the last segment. We're going to have Wes Reynolds join us for some golf conversation. Cannot wait to get his thoughts here for golf this week. That'll be in the next segment. But we're going to talk some baseball. I did get a text. If you're watching the show after us, and hopefully you are, numbers game coming up here with Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidwin. And Kelly just sent me a text, and it said, Dave Ross movie reference tracker. On 3/28, he had Top Gun and A Few Good Men. Here on 4/2, he's got Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now. So we did sneak in a little, and then my boy Ferdy texted me. He's like, was that a Star Wars? I'm like, no, that's Captain Phillips. Right? Everybody got that reference, right?
I did.
You got it. I am the captain now.
Yes.
Kelly's he's keeping track of our movie references.
I love it. We appreciate that. He's the Doge of By The Books.
We got to streamline some of those movie references. Let's get to it. Without further ado, it is time for the Daily Diamond. The crack of the torpedo bat. I love it each and every day, Jensen. Let's get to it. I look forward to it. What you have for us today in the Would You Rather. What ticket do you want to have in pocket?
All right, so we get a lot of the aces back on the hill for their second starts of the 2025 season. So I concocted some aces moneyline parlays.
Oh.
Okay, would you rather have the Reds and the Pirates, who will run out Hunter Green and Paul Skeens respectively today? Reds will host the Rangers. The Pirates on the road in Tampa against the Rays. Or would you rather have Tarek Skubal and Garrett Crochet for a Tigers Red Sox parlay? Tigers again finishing up in Seattle. The Red Sox are in Baltimore to take on the Orioles.
And this is a tough one because, again, I'm kind of sweating out the Reds every day. Like, how are they going to – yesterday you get great pitching. You don't get any hitting. And then today, as you mentioned, you're going to run out Hunter Green. Well, that's going to be tomorrow against the Pirates. You got Hunter Green today against Jack Leiter for that Rangers matchup here. Man, I think I want to go with Green and Skeens in that one for the Buccos and the Reds. So, like, Skeens with the Pirates taking on the Rays, and Pepio is going to be going for the Rays. The under there is 7. The under in the Rangers and the Reds is 8.5. I think I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on the road against Tampa and combine that with Hunter Green at home against Jack Leiter. Are you going to go in agreement with me that we're going to go with the National League guys here?
I'm going my American League boys. Skubal against a bad Mariners offense, and Garrett Crochet has just looked ridiculously good. And I know he had some command issues at first start, but I think he'll get it done against the Orioles. Okay, speaking of those Red Sox, Dave, would you rather? Oh, Rafi Devers, is today the day? Would you rather have Rafi Devers to record a hit at minus $1.90? Or no, he does not, and he stays on the schneid. 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts. The no plus $1.40.
You know, Stephanie Kamershak's in today, which is great to have Stephanie back in studio today. And inevitably, the conversation at one point, because we don't get to see each other with these hours very often, went to Rafael Devers. And I'm wondering if all of Boston is wondering about Rafael Devers. Yes. And when's he going to get that hit? I mean, over 19, 15 Ks? Can we blindly bet this until it hits? But minus $1.90? I got to say this, Jensen. I think I'm going to go with the no at plus $1.40. Mm-hmm. I mean, eventually he's going to get off the schneid, but the schneid is getting longer each and every passing day. And Jensen, how much of this is between the ears versus how much this is just inability right now to hit a baseball?
Well, I hate to say it, Dave. Some of it might be in the fitness, as we would say in the soccer/football. Yeah. So Zach Eflin on the hill for the Orioles tonight in that one. So we shall see. Your Metropolitans, boy, did they take it on the chin yesterday. Yep. Hang in there. Clay Holmes getting his second start after an opening day campaign, which is okay. He had 4 punch outs on opening day. Would you rather the over 4.5? Does he get 5 or more at minus $1.60, or does he stay under 4.5 plus $1.25?
Good lineup to do it against. And I know you got to pay a tax there at $1.60 to get over that 4.5 number here for Clay, but I would play it if you've been watching the Marlins rather here, as I have the last couple of days. They're going to give up their share of punchies. And they're going to be swinging a little bit. We saw it with Senga last night. I know some people are going to look at Kodai's start last night and go, oh, not impressive. Actually, I found him to be very impressive, Jensen. In the middle there, the Marlins couldn't get a hit, and he's striking out the side. I could see Clay Holmes doing a little bit of that. I do look at what Mendoza's doing now with the starters, and I'm wondering how long he's going to let these guys go. So you get that converted reliever into that starter for Clay Holmes. How long do you think the leash will be? Because if you give him 6 innings, he's going to get to that over prop.
More of the pitches, 89 in his opening day of 4 2/3. It was the 4 walks, I think, that really did him in. So if the command is a tick up here, I think the over is certainly the play. So we'll see how Holmes does in his second outing against the Marlins today. All right. We talked about Tarek Skubal in our first Would You Rather. This one is the lowest total on the board, and you can tell why, because it's the Tigers and the Mariners. Tarek Skubal against Luis Castillo. Would you rather have the over 6.5 at minus $1.12 or the under 6.5 minus $1.08 at spacious T-Mobile Ballpark?
Okay, here's the thing. The one lineup is not like the other. And so Skubal is not facing the Dodgers like he had to face an opening day. No disrespect to Randy Arozarena and the rest of the M's that he's going to be going up against tonight. I mean, I think Skubal is going to shove, and that's just kind of what he does. And then Castillo, we know how dynamic he can be. Tigers have been a little bit peskier offensively, so it would worry me a little bit when we get to the bullpens here in this one. But if you made me play it, which I have not, I'd probably go to that plus money in the under. But who wants to? You talk about the passage of time. You're looking for the passage of outs if you're betting unders on 6.5 totals here. But again, if you made me play it, Jensen, I'd say that Skubal goes back to the form that we're accustomed to. The Tigers are not as pesky as they've been here so far. I'd play the under 6.5.
44% of the bet, 66% of the handle. I wouldn't hate you at all if you want to do a first 5 under. If you wanted to take the bullpens out of it, that's probably at 3.5. So we're getting into like prime Jacob deGrom type stuff there with 6.5, 3.5. Okay. Last one. And for people that are March Madness fanatics, they've loved the race to 10, race to 15 props. We have one in baseball, people, and we do have one for pitching. Would you rather, Dave? Oh my
goodness.
In a race to 3 strikeouts.
Come on.
Have Mackenzie Gore, who had 13 in his first start at minus $1.55, or the man that everyone knows, tongue in cheek, Easton Lucas plus 120. He gets a start. Now here's the handicap. Easton Lucas, the starting pitcher for the home Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes.
So he gets first crack at it. Or the Nationals' Mackenzie Gore, who will pitch in the bottom of the first. Now, again, this could all be done by the time we get to the bottom of the first and Easton Lucas punches out the side. So a fun little race here. Who do you like?
First of all, can we just say they're crafty lefties? Because they're not. Mackenzie's going to throw heat. They're not crafty, right? But, yeah, that's where you go. You say, man, I'd like to go with the pitcher that's going to get the first opportunity. I would say this, in fairness, for this market, if this is going to become a new thing, shouldn't you get we talk about overtime, getting the opportunity to possess the ball. Yeah. Shouldn't you give the home pitcher the opportunity to at least match if a guy strikes out the side in the top of the first? Like, shouldn't you give that away pitcher the opportunity to match the home pitcher? Because it's such an unfair advantage if I get to go out there and run out. If I get 2 ring ups here in the top of the first, I'm coming up top 2. More than likely, I'm gonna finish that off. Shouldn't you get equal opportunity for innings in that equation?
This is the beauty of it. This is the fun part. This is why the 6 outs to glory. Yes, run first inning, no run first inning. The instant gratification. This could all be done by the time we get to the bottom of the first.
By the way, I just have one point of order that I'd like to bring out, Jensen, here in Daily Diamond. If you go to ESPN and you want to look at numbers, right? Like if you want to look at last night's box score of the NBA, wherever you want to go. When you go through the tabs right now, do you know where Major League Baseball is on the tab market for the options?
Oh, no.
Other sports.
Oh, my God.
What are you doing, worldwide leader?
Yeah,
Other sports? I know you don't care about baseball anymore, but my goodness, I got to search to get to today. That's neither here nor there.
Day one, Lewis Ross administration, just saying.
It'll be front page on every website. Edge Boost, right now, it's a first ever bank account built just for bettors, ensuring all your transactions are going to be approved instantly. So no usage fees, no minimums. You're going to earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Use the promo code BOOK, the name of this show. Deposit $25, and Edge Boost, we're going to match that deposit right then and there. So check it out, edgeboost.bet. Okay, when we come back, we're going to have Wes Reynolds join us to break down everything going on today down in Texas, tomorrow as they get ready for the next PGA Tour event. No Scotty Scheffler in this one. Jensen, I'm always curious where our leans are if they match up with Wes and the rest of the crew on long shots as well with Kelly Bidwin and Matt Brown. You've got some plays already in mind for Wes?
I think I do. As we said, our exercise before Wes or pre-Wes, let's see if it matches up.
All right, the pre-Wes, and now it's going to be during Wes Reynolds. That conversation will take place next right here. VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. We always love catching up our Wednesdays with Wes, the one and only Wes Reynolds. You can follow him on X, as I do at Wes Reynolds, and the number 1. Joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Of course, does a great job up and down the network. And Wes, we always like to pick your brain about golf. We're going to do that. But I want to ask you first and foremost, with the Final Four upon us here on Saturday, how did Indianapolis show out? Your city, your fair city, always does it right when they have college basketball in tow, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I think that we're the best special event city in America. And thanks for having me this morning, guys. But and you had teams that were close by. Obviously, Purdue right there in the state, and then Kentucky and Tennessee are very good travelers. And Houston actually traveled pretty well because this is probably their best shot ever to win a national championship since Phi Slamma Jamma. So they traveled out. But I wish these games were in arenas rather than football stadiums. Personally,
yes,
I think had they had it in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the scene would have been loud. You could hear it over the TV. They didn't have it there because they had the Indiana High School State Finals on Saturday. So that's one of the reasons they had it at Lucas Oil Stadium. And also more seats means more money, but it unfortunately means kind of a more subdued atmosphere compared to an arena.
Wes, I couldn't agree more. And having played in postseason baseball, there is nothing like the home field advantage, for that. But obviously, seeing the Super Bowl at a neutral site, you lose the luster and you lose, kind of that fan involvement with it. So again, I wish that college basketball would go at least for the regionals. Yeah, just like your idea, having sat through some Pacer games in that arena, God, it would have been amazing. All right, so your picks, and Dave and I always do this exercise pre-Wes. We write down our names. We hope that we're in the same echelon you are. I was with your first guy in Daniel Berger. Love where his potential is. And again, a little bit longer here at 35-1 that you got him at. Handicap for you, the top couple of guys on your sheet this week.
Yeah, Daniel Berger, he's been in very good form, and this actually goes back several months to like the end of November, the end of the 2024 season, when he got runner-up at the RSM Classic down in Sea Island in Georgia, and he had to have that to keep his card because Berger, of course, missed about a year and a half due to a back injury. So 2024 was kind of like the comeback year. Okay, just make some cuts. Never was really in contention, and then finished runner-up there. Was also runner-up in Phoenix at the Waste Management. He's actually the only guy on my card that is in next week's Masters already, and so I think that he could focus on, hey, I just got to get back to winning again. I'm really close. 7 top 25s, last 9 starts. So I think his sole focus is going to be on winning in San Antonio at the Valero this week. And if you look in recent years, 9 of the last 12 years, the winner of the event before the Masters was not in the Masters, whether it was in San Antonio or whether it was in Houston. And you have to win and get in. That's the last spot available. And Berger has played well the week before majors before. So he's been down this road 2016, 2017. He won in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Classic the week before the U.S. Open when that event was still held in the summer. So he usually plays very well the week before a major, and I think Daniel Berger can do the same. And then another guy that had his own injury issues was Bud Cauley. If you recall, Bud Cauley, he missed about 3 full years due to medical complications, had a car accident in 2018, had a lot of various injuries, made his full-time return last year, made 12 and 19 cuts on the PGA and the Korn Ferry, but now he's kind of getting back to form. Bud Cauley, of course, played at Alabama with his best bud, Justin Thomas, and Justin Thomas has been in interviews saying, hey, we're about to get close to the old Bud here that was kind of the prodigy. Remember, he was the world number one amateur many years ago, and he comes in on good form this week. T6 at the Players, T4 at the Valspar. So Bud seems like a guy that would win this Valero and be a nice story going into Augusta. He's around 50-1-ish in the market right now.
Wes, when you don't have JT, you don't have Scotty, you don't have Rory, it does feel like it gives quote unquote other opportunities for some of these guys deeper on the board. Now, the shorter numbers on the board, you see Tommy Fleetwood up there. 16-1 is what I'm seeing here at DraftKings. Is this the week that we finally can play Tommy Fleetwood to win stateside for the first time ever?
If it is, I'm willing to let him win that one. I just look, he very well could, but it's hard for me to take a lot of these shorter prices at this event because you know that Augusta is right down around the corner, and everybody, of course, is pinpointing to that. And we've had a mixed bag here over the years. I think really in this event. Akshay last year when he won in the playoff over Denny McCarthy was 55-1, but you've had shorter shots win here. You had Jordan Spieth at 12-1 in 2021, but you've had a lot of bombs win here where you had JJ Spawn a couple years ago was 150. Corey Connors, when he first won here, the first time he's actually won twice here, was 200-1. He was a Monday qualifier. Wow. Andrew Landry was 200-1. Stephen Bowditch was 350-1. So that's why I'm willing to go down the board at least a little bit and maybe ignore some of those guys at the top. Of course, Tommy Fleetwood still looking for that win. Patrick Cantlay hadn't won in over 2.5 years anywhere. So, that's a guy you could point to. Ludwig Gobert, I think the justifiable favorite. I already have him on the Masters card, though, for next week. So these guys always could win, but I'm willing to go down the board.
All right, Wes, let's do that because a couple of the triple-digit guys you have in pocket, Tommy Hoagie at 100-1 on FanDuel, Victor Perez 125-1 right there at Circus Sports. Is this just the uniqueness here where we would never really consider the deepness into the 175s to 200s and beyond, but these guys still some notable names, especially Hoagie here that have shown flashes. What do you like about both them at their prices for this tournament?
Well, Hoagie's an absolute flusher with the irons, and that's what you have to be here. I think that's the most important statistical category. We talked about last week where it was driver putter, guys that really were long off the tee and guys that could putt. And the iron play really didn't matter as much. The iron play, I think, matters more this week. And Tom Hoagie always near the top in strokes gained approach, which measures your iron play. T3 at the Players 3 weeks ago. He's typically near the top on approach, like I was saying, 5th in the field this week for the category. Played his college golf at TCU. He's always been pretty good in these Texas events. 2 top 12s here, 5 career appearances. So not in like really outside that Players finish that I mentioned a few weeks ago. Not in like really consistent form, but he could show up here. And I think Victor Perez could do 18th last week. 66 in the first round, then kind of, stayed in the middle there in the second and third round, then closed with the 65, 18th, 22nd, 18th in his last 3 events. So he's got very, I think, really consistent form. And those are my Bombers. Another guy I did want to mention, though, because I mentioned Alabama, with Bud Colley, Justin Thomas's buddy. Well, how about Lee Hodges, another guy that's an Alabama guy, 70-1, who missed 6 weeks with a rib injury before he came back at Houston last week. T11, 2 top 10s in his last 4 events of the fall, and then 2 top 10s already this year. 4th in total driving, 6th in strokes gained putting thus far this season, 6th here in 2023. So Lee Hodges is a good middle price in the market as well.
Yeah, you and Kelly Bedwin all over Minwoo League last week, get that big number home. You mentioned the guys off the top, the shorter numbers here, Wes, and I remember this kind of talk years ago, back when Phil Mickelson was still on the PGA Tour. You didn't want to win the week before Augusta, then he did that double dip. He also did it back over the Scottish Open, then won the British Open the next week. Do you think these top players, of course, you always want to win, but you mentioned Ludwig, that you have in for Augusta, but not this week. Is there kind of that superstition with some of these guys? Like, I just want to be in form. I don't know that I necessarily want to win now because it's so hard to win back-to-back weeks on the PGA Tour.
I think a little bit, Dave, because you like you say, when you tee it up, you're not doing it just to do it. You're doing it to win. But I think that there are things like you kind of saw it with Rory in Houston last week. Yeah, where he's kind of like, hey, I want to work on a couple things and experiment a little bit. And then in that final round, he made kind of a surge. He was several groups ahead of the lead group, and it's like, okay, because if you were monitoring the live markets, you start to see, okay, he's like plus 10,000 because he's like 9 shots off the lead or whatever. And then it started to go to like plus 5,000 and plus 2,000. So you get these guys that can rally a little bit. But of the last 13 winners of this event, 6 were first-time PGA Tour winners. So that's why, some of the names that you might see on the card, it's like, I don't really know that guy. I know the guys at the top of the board, but I think you maybe forego those at least for the most part, or go with a guy like a Daniel Berger who hasn't won in a while, who's certainly very motivated to do so. I
just can't believe that this time next week we're talking Augusta.
Yes.
I mean, Wes, how many tickets do you already have in play for Augusta? Or I know you already have Ludwig. Do you have others already in pocket?
I have Ludwig. I have Justin Thomas, a small piece of Victor Hovland at a much worse number than he was before he won. I'll probably have some sort of Rory McIlroy. It's my annual donation at Augusta. I don't know if it'll be outright or if it'll be like a top 5 placement market, but this is the best that Rory has looked in going into Augusta.
Absolutely.
I think this is the best. He's already won twice this year. Game looks in good shape, but then there's that Scotty Scheffler guy that I think alleviated a lot of the concerns maybe people had about him last week in Houston.
Heard of that guy. Rory also says he's got some elbow issue.
Oh, God.
Wes, you're the best. Of course he's got something. Appreciate you as always, my man. Everybody give him a follow at Wes Reynolds 1. We are back with our best bets next here, VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis. Great having Wes Reynolds breaking down the Valero Texas Open in the last segment. I'd mentioned at the beginning of hour number 2, Jensen, that we had new viewership from Virginia Beach, that mom and dad for the first time, because my nephew, they was able to figure it out so mom and dad could watch the show. And I said, Ma, I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you heard your shout out. And you know what she said to me, Jensen? Oh, phooey. I pray from 8 to 9. Dad goes to the store while I pray, so we missed it. But we're watching now, and we love the show.
Shout out Mom and Pop.
They missed it because Mom was praying.
Hey, that's all right. Daily prayer takes precedence. So now we save the best for last.
That's why she's the best. Ma, Dad, glad you're watching the show. I'm glad you're enjoying it as well. We're having a lot of fun doing it, that's for sure. We did have some breaking news that we did want to get to here. This is no April Fool, and they waited the day after April 1st to make this announcement, and that is the Padres have extended Jackson Merrill. So the young superstar in San Diego, Jensen, he is going nowhere. What do you make of making this move this early? We've seen it with other guys, 9 years, $135 million to keep him with the Padres.
Yeah, Robert Murray also covers the team, does a great job nationally as well. Deal can max out at $204 million. That includes a $30 million club option for a 10th season, and that can convert to a player option. So huge news. The San Diego Padres not afraid to spend money, Dave, as we know. More importantly, as it's actionable today, he's 2 or more total bases on the day that you announce your contract extension. Heck yeah. And again, tough customer, where you're going to see him come up against, and I know the Padres is going to be going for not only the series sweep against the Cleveland Guardians, but also going to be looking at, staying as one of the lone or one of the other undefeated teams with the LA Dodgers here too. So again, a massive extension for a kid that meant so much, to not only their run last year, but as a Rookie of the Year candidate. Remember, he was a betting favorite for a while until Paul Skeens ran him down. But again, I would do 2 or more total bases for Jackson Merrill on his contract extension day. He gets Ben Lively there for the Pods there in an afternoon affair at Petco Park.
So again, this is money well spent for you if you're San Diego to say, we're not even going to let this kid entertain ideas of what happened with Bryce Harper leaving DC. Yep. We're going to make sure we lock him up for 9 years.
Think about this. If you look at the Atlanta Braves, and Wyatt Tomchak will know this very well, it might be the most affordable contract at the time when they extended Ronald Acuna Jr. for 7 years, $100 million.
Right.
Like, that's nothing. Well, technically, this is kind of the same way, and you're betting on Jackson Merrill having a high ROI for the majority of that contract. So even in year 10, a $30 million option, probably not too bad considering what his age is right now.
Yeah, it feels like you got your superstar now. You don't have to worry about this in a couple of years to come. So 9-year deal here, extension for Jackson Merrill to stay in San Diego. Let's get to our best bets. They are brought to us by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN, and got a lot of baseball plays today. And it does feel like today, getaway day, right? Jensen, you and I talked about this previewing the Major League Baseball season. These are some of the days specifically that you look for. What are you looking for on that Wednesday, that traditional getaway day?
Again, teams trying to avoid sweeps. It's always difficult to do. And so you're looking at obviously the Guardians up against where the Padres are. No official play for me there, but we'll wait to see it. And again, all this predicated, we'll say this till we're blue in the face. A lot of these day games after night games could be shifts in lineups, so that does affect the handicap there. Seeing what we'll have the probable starters early, but seeing what those lineups are, some managers tend to maybe go for a platoon advantage depending on who they're going up against. Right now, no official plays. I'll wait till a little bit later to lock some things in. So if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you follow me religiously, that I'll add throughout the day. My leans, Dave, right now, besides the auto bet of the over 9 in Sacramento for the Cubs and the A's, I actually do like the A's today, minus 118, the latest price. See on them to try and avoid the sweep. The Braves and the Dodgers over 8. Dear God, we got to try and get the Braves offense rolling here. But I do think the offense could be out in force there. And maybe it is the Dodgers just continue to do it. If you're looking for a run line, wouldn't mind the Red Sox behind Garrett Crochet against the Orioles. I know they've been inconsistent from a run scoring standpoint, but if you're going to do it against Zach Eflin there against the Orioles, that's later tonight on the East Coast there. Over 7.5 would be a number there that I could target as well. So again, I'll add throughout the day. By the way, Brandon Lau and Bobby Witt Jr., thank you very much for getting that plus 280, 2 or more total bases parlay home last night as well.
And I know you had a play already in NBA action today. Tell the people what you added as the show went on. I think we're looking at an underplay tonight.
Yeah, under 218.5 there for the Pelicans and the Clippers. 33% of the bets, 87% of the money. So I'm a big differential guy. Love to see that kind of a spread there. Nothing else actionable at the moment in the association. I know we touched on the Knicks and the Cavs. Can the Cavs kind of get the ship righted here? But boy, New Orleans is just god awful. Clippers playing for a lot more here, and I just don't know if we're into the fourth quarter and this game is anywhere competitive. So I'll err on the side of a blowout there. I know death taxes and always wait to lock in hockey plays
right
until we talk to Jonathan Davis. So I had Rangers -1.5 at +164. It's already in. And then JD told us in the break, he's like, hey, be wary of the Rangers. And I'm like, come on.
He didn't say don't bet it. He just said be leery of the Rangers in this spot, right? This could be a trip up.
I'll let the data kind of speak to me here. And again, I think 42% of the bets, 93% of the money on the puck line. So, hey, we'll keep our fingers crossed. It was a rocking chair winner with the Jackets yesterday, -1. Hopefully it'll be that way, -1.5 for New York today.
We had Wes Reynolds on in the last segment again. If you are not checking out Long Shots by now, I don't know what you're waiting for. Those guys break it down each and every week in the PGA Tour and then some. He's looking at long shots this week and, maybe guys that can really stripe it. As he mentioned last week, it was a bomber's paradise, and then it's all about the drive and then making some putts. That's why Minwoo Lee got home on the card. This week, it's going to be about that iron play. I got to tell you, I love the handicap here from Wes of not necessarily backing these shorter guys. And again, yes, they want to tee it up. And I'm talking about the shorter guys like a Ludwig Goberg, who's going to be a very popular pick next week at Augusta. A guy like Tommy Fleetwood, I know he's never won on the PGA Tour. They're going to be looking for bigger fish to fry next week. Even Patrick Cantlay, who hasn't won in 2.5 years. Yes, he'd love to win this week to get off that schneid, but it really is about fine-tuning some of these things. So Jensen, for me, I'm going to look down the board as well. You and I mentioned it with the passing of Val Kilmer today. It would almost feel sacrilegious not to bet Maverick McNeely this week, about 50 to 1. That's a guy that's probably going to make his way to my card. And I know there's no correlation there, but again, you're going to look down the board for some better value, right? With some of the big names, obviously, not that they don't want to win, but it's more about next week for them than it might be this week for some of these other guys.
And I'll also have some shares of Siwoo Kim, Tony Finau, and some of the play, the placement markets. And we mentioned Maverick there, and also be adding after the show here once we get it. Also, we got some early Masters futures that we'll be adding as well. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll obviously hammer that every single day next week. But I am anxious to see what triple digit guys. Do you have a first round leader guy that you like? I know it's an annual tradition here on the show, or weekly tradition, I should say. Any first round leaders?
You know who's going to be on my card, and I'm
little Denny McCarthy.
You better believe it. I'll be texting you, little Denny. This is the week for little Denny. Kind of like with Tommy Fleetwood. It's never been the week so far for little Denny McCarthy. There, of course, UVA. But you're talking about still, for my money, arguably the best putter going right now on the PGA Tour. I don't know if he can do it for 4 rounds. Can he do it for 1? Yeah, we'll take a look at those draws, too, and the weather and make sure all those things align. But I'm sure little Denny McCarthy will be on my card before it's all said and done. By the way, next week here in the program, we're going to be going pillar to post on Masters Week next week. We can't wait for that as well. I've got some tickets already in pocket as well. And a live golf guy. And maybe not the live golf guy you're thinking of right now, not just Phil Mickelson, who I love to talk about Phil as well. So we'll get to all of that next week. But, of course, GBank is up in the ante right now, up to a $750 bonus for new GBank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days of opening up that account, they're going to receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the first 30 days of opening up that account, you're going to get another bonus up to $500. That's potentially $750 total. So apply now, VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. How do you think Kelly Bidwin did with the movie tracker today? Did we get over 3? I know we definitely got a little Top Gun. We got a little Captain Phillips in there. Did we go Tombstone? I think we did. I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Well, that's just my game.
And I'll add the Grand Stamp Cinderella story.
There's going to be a lot of Caddyshack coming next week. That's for sure. Without further ado, the aforementioned Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidwin, coming up next here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.